Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Godspeed TV. I'm your host, Riley Roseby. Today is January 28th. Happy Fed Day to all those who celebrate, as well as Mega Cap Earnings Day. How about that, right? Today we got Meta, Microsoft, and Tesla all reporting after the close. A little bit of movement after hours. We're going to start with Tesla, right? These guys beat estimates on both the top and bottom line, and what you're seeing is an upbeat, positive outlook for robotaxi and Optimus. Nothing significant yet, and we all know Elon can sometimes like to shrink his time frames a little bit, so we want to take everything with a grain of salt. I haven't dove into this in depth just yet, but I have this black line here. You could see slightly up after hours. Nothing crazy, nothing to call home about. You know, we're not gapping to new all-time highs and going. So we're going to want to wait and see how this name trades tomorrow, as well as Microsoft and Meta, right? That's kind of the name of the game with these earnings reports. We let the earnings print, we let the stocks trade, and then we come in and formulate our thesis. I want to jump down to Meta because Meta is gapping up. When I checked, it was up like 9%, 10%, and beating estimates, both top and bottom line. And then the big headline that everyone's talking about is the total 2026 expenses are projected to be between 162 and 169 billion dollars. Based off the gap on this chart, we can assume Wall Street likes these figures. They wouldn't be gapping the stock higher, up like roughly 9-10%. Let me see if I can get a more accurate figure right here for us. Meta up 9% after hours as we're speaking. So the street so far likes this report. Again, we're going to see how the name trades tomorrow. We are filling this gap. Could be a very positive thing if we do indeed fill and close above that tomorrow. A lot of price action needs to take place. Microsoft, now this is kind of the one outlier within the three. Did beat estimates, but they had some weak Azure, so it's cloud segment, had weak results. The stock's down 3 or 4%, maybe 5% after hours. Microsoft's been a laggard. It's been a laggard. So again, to reiterate, we're going to want to see how these stocks trade tomorrow. We got to see the buyers show up. We got to see the sellers show up. We got to see all participants show up and see what they decide and see where these stocks close tomorrow. That's the most important thing. I do want us to move on to GE Vernova. They reported earnings early this morning, and they have some incredible results. I just want to highlight a few things here. 65% organic growth in all segments. Just hats off to them. And then the full year 2025 highlights 34% organic growth led by power and electrification services in each segment. So one thing, like we're seeing this common theme, right? High CapEx, power and electrification, data centers. It's all that infrastructure. We're still in the infrastructure play within this AI trade. Memory is a big thing. We'll get to that in just a sec, but I want to take a look at this chart, right? GEB was up almost 3% today. I think I grabbed this screenshot before the close, but super strong chart. If we jump to the weekly, you know, this thing's just been up and to the right. Now, I do want to highlight this gap. This gap here, GEV, was at an investors conference. And they cited strong guidance back in December. I think it was December 10th. Seeing that gap, we might finally see a resolution higher from that initial gap with this earnings report behind us. I had to nibble into some GEV today. Not a big position, but just enough to kind of wet my beak, get a little blood on my lip, start to feel out how the name trades. But if this thing continues on this uptrend, which, as we know, asset prices trend, we might be on the road to 1,000 soon. Absolutely monster move from GE Vernova. Do have some monster moves in the memory stocks, right? So I took this screenshot. We'll get to Seagate, who reported earnings as well. 20%. today. 19 to be technical. But just look at some of these other memory names, right? Western Digital, SanDisk, Micron, all super strong sympathy trades today from Seagate's incredible earnings report. It was almost like Powell never took the mic. I want us to review, though. There's a nice little segment here. Seagate's December quarter results exceeded our expectations on both the top and bottom line, setting new records for gross margin, operating margin, and non-GAAP EPS. This performance highlights our team's strong operational execution, the durability of data center demand, and the ongoing ramp of our HAMR-based Mosaic products. As AI applications amplify the creation and economic value of data, modern data centers increasingly need storage solutions that combine performance and cost efficiency at exabyte scale. Data centers, folks, we're seeing these themes continue to play out. Memory is kind of the next phase down that stack. After we get energy and power, we're seeing memory come next. Now, I want us to pivot a little bit. We're going to pivot a little bit to Lemonade's autonomous insurance offering. We talked about it last week. Lemonade came out with a full self-driving autonomous insurance offering, having rates be approximately 50% less. This is what they were saying, 50% less when you're using Tesla's full self-driving while on this insurance plan. Well, we had some figures coming through the web, and I know this graphic is going to look a little goofy because I scraped this image from the web. It was very low resolution, and I got to give my hat to Google here, because as I was putting this slide deck together, the Google banana, Gemini banana, whatever they want to call it, popped up, and I asked it to, increase the resolution, and it got it nice and sharp, but there's still like something a little bit off, right? Everything seems a little tall. Anywho, we could see, take a look at this far column on the right, per autonomous mile. About 50% less in the collision, 50% less uninsured bodily injury, 50% uninsured bodily injury, underinsured bodily injury, bodily injury, 50%, property damage, 50%. We got to follow the money. Autonomous driving isn't going anywhere. Lemonade is the first insurance provider to offer a solution like this. And when this press release came out, was right here before this big stick. We had one solid green day of follow through, followed by some weakness, but we saw some strength today. If we are above these gaps, let's get a real figure here. I don't want to misquote you guys. If we're above like this 85 level, we have to keep an eye on this stock, because I'm going to jump out to the weekly, and this goes back since the company's IPO in 2020. But look at that IPO base. I'm a sucker for a big old IPO base like this. And we got to think, if we're above 85, we're breaking through 100, and we're going to be making a charge to new all-time highs, right? That's going to be what, 160, 170, somewhere in that price range. It's not going to happen overnight. Certainly not going to happen overnight. But these are the things we want to be following. Path of least resistance in Lemonade looks to be higher. Now we got a fun story for us. Anduril announced an AI Grand Prix. And what is this? Well, this is an autonomous drone racing event. Contestants can either win up to $500,000, or if you don't need the cash and you want to go work at Anduril, you can get offered a job with Anduril. The one caveat, and I absolutely love this, I'm going to be keeping a closer eye on this entire event throughout. There's no human interference throughout the race. So it has to be fully autonomous from start to finish. And, baby steps, right? What is the first step in the aerial economy? It's autonomy. We're talking autonomy on the roads first, then autonomy in drones, then autonomy in eVTOLs, so on and so forth. So this is a big deal. I mean, it's a sexy headline. It's a fun little gimmicky event for Anduril to be putting together, but we can see there's some strategy going on. Number one, Anduril is going to be able to identify the top talent, right? The winners of this thing Pretty dang smart. You're going to be competing against folks all over the world. I couldn't think of a better way for them to cherry pick some of the best talent. And, if folks don't want to go work for Anduril, they'll take the cash. But super exciting stuff there. And here's a little bit about it. Conceived by Anduril founder Palmer Luckey, the AI Grand Prix is an open challenge to the boldest engineers from around the globe in or out of universities. Absolutely love that, right? You don't need to go to college. If you're good at what you do, if you're so good, they can't ignore you. No human pilots or hardware modifications will be allowed. The competitive edge is gained entirely by optimizing the best code for the race. So, if you're eager to get involved and you're thinking maybe I can vibe code my way to victory, I'm going to just tell you, you're in for an uphill battle. This is going to attract the best talent, the best engineers from around the world to compete in this race. We'll keep an eye on it. I will certainly keep you guys updated on it. I want to talk about a few other heuristics as far as just, the health of this AI-enabled paradigm shift. There's a few headlines that hit the tape today, right? So we're going to take a look here. This is from TechCrunch. We're just going to look at the headlines because that's really kind of all we're going to be focusing on here. Standard Nuclear raises $140 million as nuclear power enters its gold rush era. Not a bearish headline. You don't see that in bear markets. You see that when innovation is accelerating and uptrends in the market like we are in today. And price is confirming this. How about that? This is why we use price. We use price as confirmation for our thesis. This is the VanEck Uranium and Nuclear ETF, NLR. Trading at its highest price since October. Might have gotten above those November highs. Beautiful, beautiful chart. And if we zoom out, you'll see that orange band that I had drawn on the daily coincides with the highs from 2007. So when we first broke through that figure, we kind of kept an eye to see how that pullback would react. Now, going back to the daily, we did dip below those former highs. So it wasn't a perfect, on the penny use for support. But you could see we drew back down. We retested the former highs from 2007 and popped right back through them. This is a monthly chart for a little bit more exaggeration, right? But the daily chart, absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Here's one more. Redwood attracts Google for its $425 million Series E as AI power needs rise. Again, this is not necessarily heuristics that we're going to see in a bear market. Some heuristics and kind of headlines I'm looking for in terms of froth are companies raising seed rounds for AI power needs, not necessarily Series E, right? Series E, these guys have been at it for a while. These are the horses that we want to be betting on, proven winners. So there's a few other earnings flags. If you guys know me, you know I'm giddy for earnings season because new information creates new opportunities. And there's a couple earnings flags I want to draw to our attention here. First up, Applied Digital, data center play. They reported earnings at the beginning of the year, kind of ahead of the whole storm. And what's super fascinating is following their earnings report, they ran right into the highs from the October earnings report, completing this, what could we call it, 3-ish month consolidation period. Yesterday, we closed at a new high. Today, we saw a little bit of a pullback, but this name looks as strong as ever. We can see the net loss attributed to common stockholders was down 76% from the prior year. Revenues grew 250%. These guys are on the ball. Here's the weekly chart, and I got one more with Applied Digital for you. The monthly. How about that for time frame continuity, right? We're taking a look at the daily. We see a nice consolidation resolving higher. You take a look at the weekly, similar pattern, big old consolidation starting to resolve higher. And then on the monthly, I don't even know who was trading this thing. There's not a ton of volume. Way back in the day, you could see by just how nasty these candles are. This thing wasn't trading really, but we have some price history going back to 2003, right at the scene of the crime. Photronics. Here's another name. So these guys in the semiconductor space, massive gap, December 10th on earnings. Stock was up like 45%. Continuation day two, absolutely got crushed falling there. We have this nice consolidation. We're starting to resolve higher. And what was really fascinating about this earnings report is this Korea expansion. And what intrigues me about Korea is if we pull up a chart of this is the South Korea ETF EWY, all-time highs. This thing is screaming higher. This is the weekly chart. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 consecutive weeks making new highs. An absolute monster. Absolute monster. Bart in the chat, I'm sorry if I missed you earlier. Joby is trying to ruin our lives. Well, it's early, my friend. It's early in the aerial economy. That's all I have to say. I think that is all I have for you guys today. Right? Big earnings day. There's so many companies reporting earnings. Probably about 30 reports that we got to sift through. Let's not overthink it. Let's not make too much of the numbers just yet. We need to let the stocks trade. It's a great sign seeing Meta and Tesla gapping higher. We want to see if Microsoft can catch a bid in the morning or if it's just going to be a free fall. But we got to let the pros own the close. That is all I have for us today. I will see you guys next Wednesday, same time, same place. If you enjoyed today's program, please give us a like. Go ahead and subscribe to the Stock Market TV YouTube channel. And if you have any questions for me, drop them in the comments on this video. I will be sure to review them before next week. Until then, y'all have a great rest of your week. Be safe.